Hey everybody. Before we get started with this Army book review, I just want to let everybody know that this is a book review done as a special thanks to Wade Weigel. He's the one that sent me Hate Monger, the Khorne Exalted Hero. You might remember him as the one on his debut, dove out of a unit of Chaos Warriors and slammed into a Vampire Lord and killed him. So yeah, thanks again, buddy. Really appreciate it. I hope this book review is everything that you hope it could be. Yep, just like it says, this is my book review for the Wood Elves. This review is simply my impressions, my takes, my opinions, basically, of the Army book. Does that mean what I say here is absolute gospel truth? No, no, it's not. These are my opinions. The idea here is just to start a friendly debate, argument, forum, whatever. The idea is these are what I think of the Wood Elves. This is how I see them. If you disagree, agree, somewhere in the middle, or you just don't like me and feel like, throwing hate in the comment section, feel free. Go ahead. And the hope is that through our discussions and our arguments and everything like that, that not only do we become better Wood Elf opponents, but better Wood Elf players. That's the hope anyway. I do not review the fluff. The story and the history of Wood Elves is a lot of fun, but that's not what my review is for. Check out Garage Hammer, the podcast, for fluff reviews. When they do a book review, they go full spectrum with it. It's really in depth. It's really well done. They don't know that I'm saying this or anything like that. I don't get anything for saying, hey, go check out their podcast. It is really cool. It's on iTunes. Go check it out. I love listening to these guys. But yeah, if you're looking for good book reviews where they go like 100% through the book, I mean, they literally read page by page. Go check them out, and yeah, you'll be able to get all the fluff you could possibly want and more. Army special rules, starting off, this is just stuff that, as a Wood Elf, most of them come with this. Blessing of the Ancients. Basically, any model that has this special rule and is in a forest adds +1 to all attempts to cast. So, go figure, a Wood Elf in a forest is better at casting. Yeah, it makes sense. Next up is Ambush from the World Roots. Wood Elves get to place an extra Citadel Forest terrain piece before any units are deployed, but after sides are chosen. That's important. You don't want the guy or gal that's playing the Wood Elves to go, I'm going to put my extra forest in your side of the deployment area. Screw that. It's before any units are deployed, but after sides are chosen. Remember that. They also get to decide what kind of forest it is, whether it's a regular forest, a poison forest, a spooky forest, a blood forest, whatever. Forest Spirit is next. That's models with this special rule get Forest Strider, and its attacks, close combat, and shooting are magical. Also, as long as they are not mounted, they get a 6 upward save, and they're immune to psychology. So, kind of a bonus, kind of a hindrance. In my opinion, Wood Elves are an avoidance army. They're a guerrilla tactics type of fighting army, and to be immune to psychology kind of makes the guerrilla part the avoidance part is a little hard when you can't flee from things. So, but the 6 upward save is kind of nice, as long as they're not mounted. Or mounted anyway. And, having magical attacks is very useful. Unless you come up against the Banner of the World Dragon, then it sucks. And now, Forest Stalker. Models with this special rule gain the Forest Strider special rule, which basically means they don't take any penalties for going through a forest. So, fast cav, marching through a forest, you're good to go. Don't worry about dangerous terrain. Also, if 50% or more of their unit is in a forest, they get +1 rank for shooting, +1 rank for close combat, and they get to reroll 1s to wound in close combat. And I just really like this rule because it's kind of neat. If the Wood Elves are in a forest, which 9 times out of 10 they are, they get the High Elf special rule and they get the Dark Elf special rule. So I see what they did there. I like it. I like it a lot. I think that's clever. Here's the Armory of Torgovan or whatever. It's the Wood Elf special, weapon and armor choices that only that particular race can take. We have the Esrai, and if I'm saying it wrong, sue me. Longbow, the range is 30 inches, so oh my god, these guys can shoot. It's only strength 3 because, elf, but it's armor piercing. And anytime you get armor piercing, I don't care if it's strength 1, that's pretty useful. And of course, it's got volley fire. They've got the Blackbriar Javelin upgrade. It's got a range of 12 inches. The strength is per user, armor piercing, and poison attacks. So they're kind of like skinks with javelins now, except they have armor piercing. And of course, the Asrai Spear. The strength is as the user, it's armor piercing, you get the fight next strength ranks, and then +1 if mounted when charged. The only thing I can see here is that it's just armor piercing. You know, they took their blacksmiths must be dark elf related or something, but I don't know. The spear I could see it, you know, when if mounted or whatever, that's actually very useful, all things considered. But for the most part, it's a spear with armor piercing. They also have this new thing where they have enchanted arrows. For a certain amount of points, every model in specific units can take magic arrows, basically, which is really, really cool. It really lets you build your units that can take these particular types of arrows specifically to target and deal with the different threats that all the other armies out there you'll be facing present. The first one is Arcane Bodkins. The range is still 30 inches, so oh, you're across the table, no problem. Strength 3, so it's still a little low on strength there. Volley fire, duh. But wounds caused by these arrows have a -3 to the armor save. So you need a 3-up armor save just to get a 6-up armor save against these arrows, which is really cool. And I like how they got rid of Arcane Bodkins, but still made well, they got rid of what it used to do, and I like it. I like it a lot. You know, I really get a kick out of this particular enchanted arrow because it's devastating. Oh, I've got a 4-up armor. You have no armor. I have a 3-up armor. You basically have light armor, so you're dead. Strength 3 makes it a little hard to wound with, but when you're firing with the amount of guys that you could possibly have firing with this, you're still going to get some wounds in there, and the ones that you do get in there are going to stick. So that's kind of cool. Then you got the Hagbane tips. These are 30-inch range, strength 3, armor piercing arrows, of course, with poison and volley fire. Basically, they just add poison to your shots, which, as any skink general will let you know, that can be very, very useful, especially if a lot of shots are being fired by that particular unit. Next up is your Moonfire shot. Range is 30 inches, strength is 3, armor piercing, flaming attack, volley fire, and it's basically these are +1 to wound if the unit/model being fired at is from the forces of order. Basically, if you're shooting at good guys with the Moonfire shot, not only are they flaming attacks but with armor piercing, but now I have +1 to wound you because Moonfire apparently doesn't like good people. Next up is the Starfire Shafts. Range is 30 inches, strength is 3, armor piercing, flaming attack, volley fire, and basically it's +1 to wound any unit from the forces of destruction, the bad guys. So the moon is bad for good guys, stars are bad for bad guys. I get it, I see what they did there, but I like it. It really makes it so that your units, if you see a lot of forces of destruction as opposed to forces of good, you could take the Starfire Shafts and wound them more often. Granted, it's only -1 to their armor save because of that, and flaming attacks is nice. I see these. I see the Starfire Shafts on a lot. If for people that aren't into regen bad guys like trolls and the things like that, I could really see those being useful. Next up is the Swift Shiver Shards. Range is 30 inches, strength 3, armor piercing, multiple shots 2, and volley fire. I really don't see these being. I mean, they're cheap. They're the cheapest of the upgrades, I guess, but with all the better choices out there, I think multiple shots too is kind of weak. I got to be honest. I don't see people taking these a lot. I've actually never seen a Wood Elf army where these were in the list anywhere, just simply because there's so many better choices. And if you're going to spend the points on the unit on the upgrade, you might as well pay, you know, the points for, you know, one of the shafts or, you know, anything else. I just don't see the tactical, I don't know, need for Swift Shiver Shards. Ooh, multiple shots too at strength 3, armor piercing. Whoopee! And last but certainly not least is the True Flight arrows. Range 30, strength 3, armor piercing, volley fire. But while firing these arrows, you do not take any to hit penalties for shooting. So basically, it's Tomb King shots, only you don't take any penalties. You get all the bonuses, none of the negatives. True Flight arrows I've seen work very nice because, you know, I used to play Wars of Chaos. I like to hide my stuff in forests. You know, oh, long range. Oh, soft cover. Yeah, I don't care. I'm going to hit you on 3s. Oh, no! Definitely see a use for those. Next up, we got some heirlooms of LOREN. Basically, this is the magic gear that Wood Elves can take. First up is the Spirit Sword. Armor saves aren't allowed from wounds caused by this sword. Every time a model takes an unsaved wound and survives, they and the wielder both roll 2d6 and add their leadership to the result. For every point the wielder exceeds the result of the wounded takes another wound with no armor saves allowed. I would take this weapon on every single lord I took. I love the Spirit Sword. It's a little pricey, but for what it does, it's absolutely worth it, because all you have to do is slip one wound through and then just roll better than your opponent on 2d6, and boom, pretty much everything you run into is going to die if you can wound it. And with always strikes first, and if you're in the forest, you get the murderous prowess rule. You got a really good chance to wound. And if you can just slip one through, I mean, you're going to be doing a crap load of wounds to these guys unless the dice gods have just frowned on you. Plus, you know, it's magical, and that's always useful. But I really like that unit. If you're going to take a guy that's supposed to see close combat, I highly suggest you try out that sword, just simply because, you know, to be like, oh, I only slipped one wound through. Well, pick up 2d6, take a leadership check, because I'm going to rock you. Next up is Daith's Reaper. All failed to hit and to wound rolls are re-rolled. All successful armor saves against wounds done by this weapon must also be re-rolled. This is another really cool item. I would probably put this on, like, if I took a second lord or something like that where I could kit him up. I would definitely take this Reaper, because I like the idea of having Eternal Hatred, having the ability to re-roll wounds, because that's so rare they don't even have a name for it. And I like the fact that it's basically a reverse Dawnstone. Every successful armor save your opponent makes has to be rerolled. That's huge. That's really, really huge. I like that a lot. Next up is the Bow of LOREN. It's an Asrai longbow, multiple shots, plus one attack. It's basically it's attacks plus one. So if you get 3 attacks, you got 4 shots with this stupid bow, and you can't take the enchanted arrows. So what the f is the point? Oh, good, I got 4 strength 3 armor piercing shots. Whoopee! If you could take the enchanted arrows, I could see how this bow would be very cool. But since you can't, I mean, for the points, I just don't see the purpose at all. At all. I think it's a crap item. Next up is the Helm of the Hunt. Basically, it's a helmet, so it gives you +1 armor save, grants devastating charge, and +1 weapon skill on the turn the wearer successfully charges. This is kind of neat. This is for, in my opinion, a hero choice that you're going to throw in with a unit of Wild Riders. It just fits perfectly. It gives them a little bit extra armor save. You get devastating charge, so you kind of fit in with the Wild Riders, and your weapon skill bumps up a little bit. Not that the Wood Elves are really hurting on weapon skill, especially their hero choices, but still, the +1 armor save, it's relatively cheap for what it does. I like it. I like it. And if you're trying to be cheap and you're trying to be really offensive, which isn't hard to do with Wood Elves, considering they have always strikes first, built in, I could see the helm being useful. Next up is the Acorn of the Ages, 1 use only, at the start of the game before deployment. That's really important. Not for friendly games as much as it is for GTs. If you're playing a Wood Elf player, at the top table or whatever, and he's like, okay, now that we're done deploying, I'm going to throw out my forests. The hell you say. You failed to use your item on time. Piss off. But that's between you and your opponent and your sportsmanship score, of course. But it's one of those things you don't get to find out beforehand, and then adapt to hindsight type of deals. They've got to place these forests before deployment. That's really important. But anyway, the bearer places D3 extra citadel forests down. Each forest scatters 2d6 inches, and you arrange it, so that you know how to place the forest. It can't be any closer than 1 inch between the turret. Then the person that's placed in the forest chooses what type the forests are. All of them are the same type of forest. You can't have a blood forest and a poison forest and a regular forest. They're all blood, they're all poison, they're all regular. It's up to the person who's dropping them. And let's face it, if you're dropping the forest, they're going to be poison. This item, I believe, should be used by everyone. I know it's an arcane item. I know that it's expensive. I know all this. take it. It's for considering how much the woods benefit the wood elves, it's worth it every single time. Not to mention, you make them poisonous woods, and every time someone walks into them, they have to take dangerous terrain checks. Dangerous terrain checks don't allow for armor saves, people. So, oh, look, your Chaos Warriors with a 4-up or a 3-up armor save are charging through the or marching through the woods. Dangerous terrain checks. And I'm inside of it, so I have poison attacks. Whee! Oh, look, your knights just went through the forest. Okay, dangerous terrain checks. Your horde brick of 100 skeletons just walked through the forest. Dangerous terrain checks. That acorn is the most underrated item that the Wood Elves have. Take it, make your forest poison, and watch your opponent stand very, very, very still. Next up is the Moonstone of the Hidden Ways. Bear's unit must be 100% inside a forest at the end of their movement phase and not in close combat. Remember that. I've seen it before in other people's battle reports where the Wood Elf army or unit with this item is like, "Oh, well, I'm more than half inside the forest, so I'm going to move across the table." Don't let people do that. It's blatant cheating. Whether it's an accident or not, you need to point it out. You know thy enemy. And this item is too powerful for you not to understand how it works. Once they're 100% inside a forest, not in close combat, and the movement phase is over, remove the unit from the table and place them facing any direction in any other forest on the table. Units moved in this way count as marching. So this item, compounded with the Acorn of the Ages, basically lets you teleport a full unit anywhere around on the table facing any direction. It's better than the ambushing rule, guys. Seriously, you could have your starting forest in your back corner, you put your Wild Riders in it, and then you do your other three, your D3 forest from the Acorn of the Ages, and then you place, that in your enemy's section there. It scatters or whatnot. As soon as it's open, okay, my Wild Riders are going to use the Moonstone of the Hidden Ways with the little, character that's in there with the Moonstone. And now not only are you in their backfield, but next turn you are charging. And, you're in a forest too, so you got soft cover in case, war machines or whatever that you require, that use ballistic skill. So, yeah, this item with the Acorn, with a unit of devastating fast cav. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the combo right there is almost broke. To continue on with that, we have the Hail of Doom arrows, an oldie but a goodie. It's one use only, but the model with an Asurai bow uses it instead of his normal shot. It's range 30. The strength goes up by 1 with armor piercing, which is really nice, but it's 3d6 shots. Still got to hit, still got to wound, but at strength 4, armor piercing, anything that you wound is probably going to take the shot, or take the wound anyway, and that's awesome. Hail of Doom arrow, real popular with Wood Elf players. If you're playing a Wood Elf player, don't be surprised if you see it. It's a really good magic item for them to take. I like it. I would take it if I played Elves, but I don't, so. Next up is a Kalingor's Staff. Wizards generate 1 less spell than usual, but they gain the Tree Singing spell, and this is kind of cool. Basically, it gives you access to the Tree Singing spell, which for some reason they took out of the Wood Elf lore. Well, I guess the Wood Elf lore doesn't really exist anymore, but you know what I'm talking about. It's an augment with an 18-inch range, targets a forest that has no models in it. Remember that. If they have this item and you're playing against them, get your models in the forest, so they can't move the damn thing. But if there's nothing in there, they can move the forest d6 plus 1 inches in a direction of their choice. The forest has to stop an inch away from other training units, though. It can't envelop a unit. If a unit is in the forest, however, the forest doesn't move and takes 2d6 strength 4 hits. And it can't target all forests within 12 inches. So it's just a higher spell casting cost. So, okay, maybe you don't put your weaker units into the forest, maybe you let it move. But yeah, if you got something in the forest and he's got Tree Singing, you need to get him out of the forest pretty quick. Next up is a couple of banners. The Banner of the Eternal Queen. It grants Magic Res 3, whatever. And once per game, the unit the bearer is in is unbreakable until the end of the turn or until the bearer is killed. Ability must be declared at the beginning of any turn. Now, if memory serves, this banner is more expensive than anything can take other than a BSB. So if your BSB as an elf is butt naked because he took this stupid banner because you wanted to make sure that one of your units once a game is unbreakable, you need to rethink your tactics. This is one of those banners that is written on toilet paper as far as I'm concerned. Magic Res 3 is a joke because anything that's going to shoot spells at you, it's not going to decimate the army that bad. And the moment your opponent figures out you have Magic Res 3, he's not shooting at this unit anymore. And another thing is the unit is only unbreakable until for one turn, one combat basically, or until the bearer is killed. So if you have your BSB with this stupid banner on it and he gets killed, all those points are useless. So I don't know why you would bother taking this banner unless you just really want your opponents to win. I don't see the purpose. Next up is the banner of the Hunter King. It gives the unit the banner bearer is in Vanguard, and also the unit may re-roll the first failed charge. This banner is amazing. Giving a random unit a 12-inch move, in the very beginning of the game. Well, I shouldn't say random unit. Any unit that the banner is in, giving them, or the banner bearer is in, giving them Vanguard in a Wood Elf army. I mean, Wild Riders, Warhawk Riders, anything fast and that's supposed to get into combat quick. This is, I mean, even Ward Dancers. Throw them in there with the Ward Dancers just long enough to Vanguard and get the guy out of there if it's your BSB. I mean, being able to re-roll the first failed charge, this is huge. This is really huge. So I don't know. I could see this being used in a more aggressive Wood Elf army. Well, that's enough of all the other little kits, tricks, and fun stuff that Wood Elves get. Let's get into some serious stuff here. We're going to start off with the Lord choice, and the Glade Captain too, because they're basically the same thing. But the Highborn of ATHEL LOREN, a Glade Lord or a Glade Captain. The Lord and hero choice, basically combat, quote-unquote combat characters of the Wood Elves. They have the special rules of always strikes first and Forest Stalker, which is cool. And suitably fluffy, all things considered. But they also have what I think is probably one of the coolest rules for a hero and lord choice in all the elf books, really. They have the Arrow of Kurnos. Basically, after deployment, but before the first turn, if the enemy general is within 36 inches of a character with this special rule, he takes a Strength 3 hit with no armor saves. This is awesome because the enemy general typically has, you get to find out what kind of armor save he has, and if you're lucky, you get to find out what kind of ward or regen save he has. And if you're really lucky, you start off the game with, your enemy general bleeding already, which, as we all know, when your general is bleeding before the first turn even starts, it's going to put you on the back foot, make you nervous, and possibly make your opponent make some mistakes because he's like, oh no, my general's already beat up. Hopefully they don't have the Lore of Life, but hey, we're talking hypotheticals here. But I really like this too because there's a lot of Demon Princes out there and a lot of them have that Charm Shield. And this is a great way to get rid of that Charm Shield quick, fast, and in a hurry because it's an auto hit. So, okay, do you have a Charm Shield? Roll that 2 up, and if he rolls a 1, all right, so maybe you slip a Strength 3 hit through. It's got no armor saves, so, that's cool too, but just one of those things where this is a super powerful special rule because it just gives you so much insight on your opponent's, general right off the bat. Automatic Strength 3 hit, no armor saves. If you can wound with it, it's a glorious thing. It really is. The pros for these guys is like I just got finished saying, the Arrow of Kurnos is an amazing way to take out a Charm Shield, put a wound on an Archmage, find out right away what kind of ward regen the opponent general has. Very, very cool. The Lord choice has Ballistic Skill 7. I think the Hero choice, the Captain, has Ballistic Skill 6. So, I mean, it's still friggin' amazing. I mean, long range, soft cover, don't care, need 2s. Long range, soft cover, and I moved. Oh no, 3s! I mean, holy God, these guys don't miss unless the dice guys just say, nope, you miss. Also, the lore choice is weapon skill 7. I think the hero choice is weapon skill 6, but these elves fight as good as their dark elf cousins. Seriously, the high elves missed their calling when it came to talking to the dark elves about, close combat abilities. They can take a steed, an eagle, a stag, or a dragon. These characters really can be tooled up really, really bad ass. I mean, a steed is still pretty badass. They could fly with an eagle. Stags, there's your monstrous cav. Or a dragon. Screw it. Damn subtlety. I'm on a dragon. And their dragons are really cool, so I could see it. They can also take enchanted arrows. So why you would take or why you would not take arcane bodkins on these guys every time is beyond me. And after you choose your mount and your enchanted arrow, you get 100 points of magic gear on top of everything. Yeah, these guys are going to be expensive, but what they do is worth every point. Basically, you can make your character out however you want him to be. The only real cons to these guys are their toughness 3, which is going to be an army-wide epidemic. So the problem is you need to encase them in armor and wrap them in a ward save in order to ensure that they're going to be able to do anything. That or make them so offensive because they got always strike first that they can kill anything before it can kill them. These guys are really, really fragile. The epitome of glass cannons. But if you can wrap them up in the right kind of armor, silvered steel, destiny, fortune, stuff like that, you could really have a stay-in force here. And wood elves don't have to be an avoidance army. They excel at it, but you could, in a way, make a close combat or aggressive wood elf army. Next up are the Spellsingers, Spellweaver, which is your lore choice, and Spellsinger, which is your hero choice. They can choose any magic lore out of the 8 lores from the BRB, or they could use high or dark magic. So they could take any lore from the BRB, they could take high magic, for which, high elves like to use, or they could take dark magic, which the dark elves like to use. So really, they just kind of get their choice of magic lores. I don't think they can choose like the Skaven ones, the Chaos ones, or the Orc ones. Other than that, if it's magic, you can pick up a caster and use it, which is probably the biggest strength, in my opinion, that the elves have. The fact that all the lores are open to them, and they have army-tailored high and dark magic lores. It's very cool, and if you're not really buffing up your magic phase when you're playing the Wood Elves, well, you're just kind of shortchanging yourself. And, well, since I like killing elves, I thank you. The special rules for these guys are, of course, Always Strikes First, Blessing of the Ancients, and Forest Stalker. The pros, in my opinion, on these guys is some of the best Wizard Elf models GW offers. Have you seen some of the spell singers that they offer, on GW's website? These things are so fantastic looking. It makes me want to buy the model. Not that I would ever field it, but I just want to own that art. It's really, really gorgeous. Especially when you get a really good artist to paint them and stuff like that, and it looks all perfect and everything like that. Oh, so good. Like I said before, they can take a lore to suit any army composition. You want a big fighty army, you got Lore of Life, you got Lore of Beasts. You could even take Lore of Light, or all 3 if you were really feeling froggy. In the forest, they become even more fearsome with the +1 to cast and stuff like that. And, cover saves, possibly even poison, depending on what kind of forest it is. The cons, though, are they're only toughness 3. I know, elf toughness, got it. But still, very fragile. If anything gets a hold of these guys, they're basically in their bathrobes. You really don't want these guys to see anything with a sword because they're going to fall down. Even with a ward save, they're really easy to wound. They're really easy to kill. So do whatever you need to do to keep them away from damage because they will fall quick. Another con, in my opinion, this is a weaker one, is the bonus to cast only applies when you're in a forest, which kind of pigeonholes these guys. It's not like you're going to throw them on a steed and leave them in a forest all by themselves, because anybody with, bad language they throw at these guys are going to drop them like a bad habit. So you're kind of stuck in the forest. It's kind of hard to get them out of there without losing the advantage, of their special rules. So you got to be careful with these guys, and if you want to really get the full benefit of them, you kind of got to pigeonhole yourself into a forest, which makes it dangerous. Because once your opponent figures out he's locked down to a position, all they have to do is surround and charge, Next up are the Eternal Guard, and I like these guys. We got the Eternal Guard, the Eternal Warden, which is the upgrade for these guys, the unit champion. And they've got the special rules: Always Strikes First, Forest Stalker, and Stubborn. The pros for these guys are that they're a core unit that has Stubborn. I like Stubborn, especially in my core units, especially in the units where I have to take, a quarter of my army as these guys. They have Stubborn, and they're relatively cheap for infantry choice. Strength 3, Toughness 3, all that other good stuff. But they still have Always Strikes First, and they have Armor-Piercing Spears. These guys are very, very good anvils, in my opinion. You got to take a bigger brick of them. But with the armor-piercing spears, the fighting extra ranks, the extra ranks if you're in a forest, all that other good stuff. And hell, if you're in a poison forest, now they're poison attacks as well. Armor-piercing, I know it's only strength 3, but that's a lot of attacks that can do some serious damage to anything that runs into them. So if you ever wanted an anvil unit or a real solid bunker unit, this is the way I would go. I really like the Eternal Guard and what they do with them. Cons, of course, is toughness 3. They only get light armor. You need a large group to be combat effective, but in the end, I gotta think that if you needed an anvil unit, if that's how you wanted to run your Wood Elf army, this would be a 1+ need to be in the list, if not 2 big bricks of these guys. So that's my opinion anyway. Next up are the Glade Guard. Their special rules are Always Strikes First and Forest Stalkers, so they're kind of simple in that regard. However, the pros of these guys are that they're Ballistic Skill 4, which is really good. I know it's common for the elves of any flavor to be Ballistic Skill 4, but it's still really good. And they can take Enchanted Arrows. These are your units, your archer units that are going to be just your completely customized unit. They have one particular enemy that they just like to shoot up, and they're very good at killing them. With the right arrow kit out, they're incredibly dangerous. They're going to be expensive as hell because the enchanted arrows are, it changes them from 9 points a model to closer to 16, depending on the arrows that you take. But they're well worth the points, especially if you have, the right kit out for the right unit. Oof, really, really rough. The only cons that I can see with these guys are there's no real close combat ability. If these guys get charged by Fast Cav in the front, even with Always Strikes First, they're going to fall apart and die and break and get run down. They're very, very fragile. So if you're going to use these guys, use them, like the guerrilla fighters that they are. Fall back, shoot, fall back, shoot. That's my opinion. God knows I'm no good with shooting or elves, but that's the way I see Glade Guard. Next up, we got our Deepwood Scouts, which are actually pretty cool. Their special rules are Always Strikes First, Forest Stalker, Scouts, and Skirmishers. The pros of these guys are their scouting helps the Wood Elf army succeed, period. Scouts and a Wood Elf army are pretty much necessary. Great at war machine hunting, great at getting behind enemy lines, and just, making everything awkward. Instead of everything coming up in front, now you got a bunch of scouts in your backfield there, and they're really good shots. They can take enchanted arrows, so it makes them very expensive, but a real threat, especially for an avoidance army. They come up on the flanks, and yeah, your opponent needs to deal with them while the rest of your army does its thing. Skirmishing scouts, so you got them in a forest. They're skirmishers, maybe even long range. I mean, you're talking -3 or 4 to hit these guys for people that aren't elves. Even elves, I mean, you're hitting on 6s. It's pretty rough to take these guys out with shooting if you use ballistic skill. And if someone's shooting a cannon at Deepwood Scouts, well, they've already lost the game. So congratulations. But yeah, if you're looking to play Wood Elves and you're looking for the avoidance type of factor, or even if you're just looking for a straight up, combat version of the army, Deepwood Scouts are pretty much a +1. They're very useful, and I would suggest Arcane Bodkins because nobody likes armor saves. And they can take a full command, which is something else. They're good for fortitude scenarios at GTs and stuff, and a full command. I mean, why would Scouts take a banner? But whatever, that's what they did, so that's what they get. Honestly, this unit is pretty much perfect for what it needs to do. I don't see any cons with it whatsoever. I mean, it's properly points costing, and yeah, if you can see something wrong with them, let me know. Oh, well, don't get them in close combat, but if you're using your scouts for close combat, it's either because you're a tactical genius or you've made a terrible, terrible mistake. Next up are the Glade Riders. They have always strikes first, only the riders. They have Ambusher, they're Fast Cav, and they have Forest Stalker. The pros of these guys are they are ambushing fast cav. They jump in, they pop up on your enemy's flank or on your enemy's side of the table, and then they move. Granted, they can't march, but they can reform. I mean, they move like fast cav. It's like having a monster show up in the background. They can take enchanted arrows, so they ambush, they come on the table, and then they obliterate whatever they want to obliterate. How could you take a Wood Elf army without these guys? I mean, honestly, Glade Riders pretty much +1, maybe 2 plus, in every army. You can move through forests without taking dangerous terrain checks because you got forest striders. So yay, fast cav! I bounce through 3 forests and I don't have to worry about dangerous terrain. And if you've ever seen me go through dangerous terrain with any of my cav or chariots, you know I like to roll ones. So that alone makes them a +1 in my armies if I ever took Wood Elves, which I won't. Don't get your hopes up. The cons are they're still filthy elves. They're just very mobile ones. So yeah, you have to make your peace with the fact that you're still fielding filthy elves. That's the only con I can find for Glade Riders. Next up, we got our Warhawk Riders. They have always strikes first, that's only for the riders. They have armor piercing, which is only for the Warhawks. Flying cavalry and forest stalker, which is cool because basically they're flying fast cav. And they also have the Predator's Descent. This is only for the Warhawk, though. On the turn a Warhawk charges, it has the Killing Blow special rule, which is huge. I mean, these are the perfect assassin units. These are great for taking out, heavy cav, Chaos Knights, Blood Knights, anything Knights, really, period. With that, as long as it's cavalry and not monsters cav, that Killing Blow is huge if you can get it. And, considering the Warhawks have a few attacks, and, they're toughness 4 elves, which is a big difference. And, their monster is cav, too, so now you've got that combined profile thing working for you. This is a really good unit to use. The problem is, they're probably going to get shot at a lot. They're not very sturdy, but for the most part, I mean, they're really cool. The pros here is the flying fast cav are perfect for Wood Elves. Mobile, fast, can shoot. They're really nice. I don't see why you wouldn't take these if you were going to run a list that required something like this. Unless you just like Scouts or Glade Riders or one of the other options you can get. But for the movement and everything, you really can't beat these guys. Toughness 4, 3 wound, flying fast cav with Killing Blow on the charge for the Warhawks. That's a really mean combo for a more aggressive Wood Elf army. Plus, the models are really cool. I mean, really cool. The cons are they don't get to shoot, which is a little bit of a surprise, all things considered. I guess these guys are supposed to be the close combat experts or the ambushers or whatever, but they don't get to shoot, which is weird for a Wood Elf army. I don't fully understand why they didn't just at least get normal bows. They are really expensive for what they do, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't take them. It just means, or I wouldn't suggest taking them anyway. It just means that if you're going to take them, it's an investment. Really be careful with where you put them and how you take them down because, points denial lists and stuff like that, you may want to avoid these guys, but everything else, I still think it might be worth the investment. And they get no command whatsoever other than a unit champion, which, why you would put a unit champion in this unit is beyond me. Next up, we got our Wildwood Rangers, and their special rules are always strikes first, Forest Stalker, and immune to psychology. They also have the Guardians of the Wildwood special rule. If a ranger is in base-to-base with an enemy model that causes fear or terror, it has +1 attack. I don't know. I mean, if the rangers were in base-to-base with a unit that causes fear or terror, they're probably going to be killed anyway, unless they're a larger unit. I don't know. The pros of these guys is having immune to psychology elves is nice depending on, what kind of list you're trying to run. I mean, not having to worry about breaking from panic or fear, terror, anything like that is kind of nice. It's a cool special rule to have when fighting fear and terror causers. You get +1 attack with always strikes first. That's kind of nice. And the models look really cool. I mean, look at that weapon. It's twice the size of the damn elf that's carrying it. The cons are, high elves get strength 5 sword masters and strength 6 white lions. Dark elves get, strength 6 executioners, strength 4, I guess, halberd using guys. And the wood elves get strength 4 immune to psychology rangers that are really that are better at taking out, fear and terror causers than most people. But you know, they're still toughness 3. They're still basically naked. They're not hard to hit in combat. Immunopsychology makes it hard to use them in an avoidance wood elf too. It makes them impossible to use in an avoidance army because you got them. They're not fleeing. They're not going anywhere. So, and that's how you're, in my opinion, you're going to see wood elves for the most part. It's going to be avoidance. And if you see them in combat, I mean, if you're going to play an aggressive wood elf army, one that's going to get you into close combat and try to beat you down, I could see these guys being useful. You know, in a poison forest or something like that, and just bring it on type of deal. I could see it then. I could see these guys being useful in the forest or in an army that wants to see close combat and stuff. I don't know. There's just so many better choices. I guess it would really more be a preference or a fluff choice than anything else. I don't know. I mean, hey, what's your opinion? Throw it in the comment section. Argue with me. I could be wrong, but just the way I see Wood Elves, I mean, it's a nice option to have. It's a cool looking new model. I mean, take a look at it. But I just, I can't get there. Next up are your Ward Dancers. They have Always Strikes First, Forest Stalker, Immune to Psychology, and Skirmishers. They also get Talismanic Tattoos, which means they get a 6-up ward save. And they have a rule called the Shadow Dances of Loic. At the start of each round of close combat, choose one of 3 dances. The dance chosen affects the unit until the end of that turn. Done before impact hits. That's important if you're a Wood Elf player. A lot of people like to slam Wood Elves with chariots. If you know you're taking that charge from the chariot, you might want to take a specific dance because you're gonna need it. But yeah, before the impact hits are done, that's really important. You know, ogres, chariots, anything that runs into these guys. If they're charging you, though, you failed pretty miserably. But yeah, just make sure you remember that this is done before impact hits. So it's actually in the book, so you can reference it real easy. But the whole unit must choose the same dance. You don't get to pick and choose, and cannot choose the same dance in 2 consecutive rounds of combat. So if you choose dance 1 in combat 1, you can't choose dance 1 in combat 2. It's just not happening. The 3 different dances that they have are Whirling Death. It gives them Armor Piercing and Killing Blow. Gives them Storms, or the next one they have is Storms of Blades, which gives them +1 attack. And then they have the Shadow's Coil, which gives them a 3+ ward save, which is probably your most useful one. I mean, Killing Blow is cool too, but I don't know. I see Storm of Blades as a, well, I'm just trying to go through like Skaven Slaves or something. I don't know. And the last special rule they have is Woven Mist. Enemy units in base contact with this unit receive 0 combat resolution for extra ranks. That is very useful. That's really good if you can get these guys into the flank or the rear of a unit that's already in combat. That would be very cool. Oh, I got 3 ranks. No, you don't. And now take your break check. The pros of these guys are they're skirmishing with insane close combat. They're really good at fighting. This unit needs to be in combat in order to be useful. Yeah, if you take these guys, you need to get them into close combat because they don't do anything else, and it's kind of a waste of your points if you're just kind of like, oh, they sit in a corner, yay! They supplement a Wood Elf army perfectly with Weapon Skill 6 and Always Strikes First. These guys are incredible in close combat. Woven Mist is an amazing special rule as well. It can be used in conjunction with other charges. Like, for example, your Stubborn Internal Guard get into combat with, a big brick or anything. Any bricks, really, of infantry or any kind of ranked up unit. And then these guys come slamming into the flank. And now not only are you stubborn with your Eternal Guard, but now they don't have their rank bonuses anymore. So the combo charge that you can do with these guys is devastating to just about anything. The cons here are Naked Elves are meant to be in close combat. You're not going to see too many survivors. Yeah, I know you get the 3-up ward, but you can't take that twice in a row. So, I'm sorry. Naked Elves are a little rough to use in close combat. It's just not, in my opinion, the greatest situation. You would suppose if they knew they were going to be in combat, they'd at least have light armor thrown on them. But no, Naked Elves into close combat. I'll never understand elves and their fighting ideas. Another problem I have with the Ward Dancers is only 1 attack base. I mean, yeah, they have an extra hand weapon, but 2 attacks, 3 if you take the dance. Whoopie-doo, they're strength 3 for crying out loud, give them something more here. And they can take the Asrai Spears, but I don't understand why. I mean, for the armor piercing, to lose an attack, I don't know why you would ever put spears on these guys. That just doesn't make any sense. They don't get a +1 for charging because they can't be mounted. They get armor piercing with one of their dances, but you lose an attack. I don't get it. I mean, are you going to take 6 ranks of these guys, so you get 4 ranks worth of attacks. Is that what you're talking about? You're going to take a 600-point unit of War Dancers? I don't fully understand why they would take the spears. By all means, if you can understand why, throw it in the comment section because I'm at a loss. Next up is the Shadow Dancer. That's the hero choice War Dancer. Their special rules is a wizard that can use the lore Shadow only. Always strikes first, Blessing of the Ancients, Forest Stalker, Immune Psychology, Shadow Dances of Loic, and Talismanic Tattoos. Pros are now your War Dancers can take a level 1 Shadow Mage. That's good in close combat with War Dancers. I mean, he is weapon skill 8. And he's a strength 4 wizard. And he's pretty cheap, actually. You know, he's not going to be an expensive hero choice. He's a good supplement, especially if you're going to take multiple units of War Dancers. Shadow Magic, you know, hey, Shadow Magic, Occam's Mind Razor. Come on, this isn't a hard combo here. But yeah, you know, and a Strength 4 Wizard is still a Strength 4 Wizard. I think you have to be dedicated to the Chaos Gods to get a Wizard that's Strength 4 in any other race. The cons here is he can only be a level 1 Wizard. He can only take 25 points of magic gear, which I really don't understand. And he's still a naked elf meant to be in close combat. So use him with the idea that you're going to lose him. He's a level 1 wizard. If you buy the upgrade for him, he can only take 25 points of gear. I mean, you're looking at an Opal Amulet and maybe the Dragon Helm. I don't know. 25 points, glittering scales maybe? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But yeah, he's not going to be your combat character, but at the same time, he is going to supplement your War Dancers. He is Strength 4. He's still, the Shadow Magic. I mean, if you can get Occam's Mind Razor or, Doom and Dark. Well, there's a lot of different things that you could get in Shadow that would be very useful, but it's just an idea. It's something, I guess. It's just another option for the Wood Elves. I don't know if it's an optimal one or even a good one, but it might not hurt to toy around with them if you're a big fan of War Dancers. Next up is the Sisters of the Thorn, or as I like to call them, Woodlocks. Special rules are always strikes first. That's obviously only the riders. The mounts just aren't that fast. Fast cav, force stalker, and poison attacks, which is also only the riders. They have a special rule called Daughters of Eternity, which gives them a 4-up ward save because plot, and Deepwood Coven. Unit is considered a level 2 wizard that knows Shield of Thorns and Curse of Anrihir. Doesn't prevent other wizards from knowing these spells, and the unit receives +1 to cast for each rank up to 3. When casting, choose one model from the unit as the caster. In the event of a miscast, the unit suffers D3 wounds with no saves allowed. That's important for when you're facing the Wood Elves. They cast Shield of Thorns Irresistible, and they take D3 wounds. A lot of people like to try to roll that 4-up ward save. Pick up your heaviest dice and throw it into their eye socket because they're cheating. And they won't do it again because there's a dice in their socket to always remind them that they tried to cheat and you corrected them with pain. And yeah, it costs you a dice, but at least you get to vape some of the unit, right? This is kind of neat. I like these guys because I like Warlocks, and that's all these are. These are the Wood Elves version of Warlocks. Exact same way they function, everything. Yeah, they have the spears instead of the extra hand weapon, though. So, yeah. The pros to these guys are, like I said, they're the Wood Elf version of the Dark Elf Warlocks. These things are awesome. It's a wizard, so you get +1 channeling dice. It's a level 2 wizard with 2 spells that doesn't stop anyone else from learning them. There's no negatives to taking these guys. And they got a 4-up ward save. So, poison fast cav with strength 4, armor piercing on the charge. They let you channel another die, and they have a 4-up ward. And I think they even have like a 5-up armor. I think you can put shields on these guys if you feel so inclined. So they're not exactly weak in combat either. Probably one of your more combat effective units in the Wood Elf book. The cons are Shield of Thorns and Curse of Anrihir aren't really that great for Wood Elves. I mean, they're not terrible, but I mean, for crying out loud, the Dark Elves have Doombolt and Soul Blight, and the Wood Elf Warlocks get Shield of Thorns and Curse of Anrihir. I mean, Shield of Thorns is only really good if you have Throne of Vines up, and Curse of Anrihir, okay, I could see it, I get it, but I'm just, I guess. But I would use these guys just like the Dark Elves use their Warlocks. You know, get them in the rear, get them in the flank, use that fast cav to, you know, go War Machine hunting or take out your opponent's fast cav and stuff like that. These guys are brutal with their 4-up ward save, and why you wouldn't take these is beyond me. I mean, they're good in a close combat army, they're good in a combined tactics army, they're good in an avoidance army. They're just good. So, yeah, take them, stupid. What are you waiting for? Next up are the Wild Riders. Oh, these guys haunt my nightmares. Their special rules are always strikes first, only the riders. Devastating charge, again, only the riders. Fast cav, fear, forest stalker, frenzy, and talismanic tattoos, which gives them a 6-up ward. Pros. This unit is a unit eraser, basically. It is insane. On the charge, they have 3 strength 5, armor piercing, always strikes first attacks each. So for a simple minimal unit of 5 guys, you have 15 strength 5, always strikes first, armor piercing attacks. Yeah, let that sink in for a minute. Plus, they can get a 4-up armor save. Plus, it's a special unit choice, not rare for some reason. Yeah, no idea. So you could take 15 of these guys, and that's bare minimum. Plus, I'm not done yet. I know. Wait, there's more. They can take a 50-point magic banner. You're looking at +1 combat res, armor piercing, hell, flaming banner if you're so inclined. These guys can take oh my, these guys are epic elite, and they're just special choices. Plus, the models look amazing. If you're playing Wood Elves and you don't have at least 1 unit of 5 Wild Riders, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to pick up all your Wood Elves. I need you to put them in a box, take a picture of them, put them on eBay, sell it for $1, because you are doing it wrong. You should not be playing the Wood Elves. Wild Riders are amazing. They fit any army of Wood Elves, no matter what you want them to do. They're fast cav. They move how you need them to move. These guys have 4 strike. You can't go wrong with Wild Riders. If they hit a unit in the flank or in the rear, that unit is vaporized. It's just vaporized. I don't care. Oh, it's got a 1-up armor save. I don't care. It's dead. Demigryphs, Chaos Knights, Chaos Warriors, which you guys have seen on my battle reports, Bretonnians, anything these guys hit is dead. If they charge it, it's dead. If you don't believe me, try them, use them, kill with them, and come back and thank me. You can give me money. I accept money as forms of gratitude. There are no cons. This is the perfect unit. None. There's just effing none. These guys scare the hell out of me. When I see them on the table, all I do is I devote all my magic and shooting that I've possibly got at them until they're dead or I've lost the game. Usually I lose the game. But take Wild Riders. Take Wild Riders. The whole book should be renamed from Wood Elves to Wild Riders and Friends. I'm telling you guys, if you're going to even think about buying Wood Elves or getting into Wood Elves, or if you have them already and you want to play them, first unit in the list, Wild Riders. At least 1 unit of 5. Why you wouldn't do that is beyond me. Oh, and another thing, I said it and I just realized how stupid it was. 50-point magic banner. Don't take the Razor Standard. These guys already have armor piercing. That was stupid. And also, just to go back to the pros, because this unit is just that friggin' awesome, the 15 strength 5 armor piercing always strikes first attacks, that's just the riders. The friggin' cavalry are badass too. So you've got like 25 attacks from these guys. This unit on the charge, that's just game changing. It's mind erasing. Imagine having 3 units of them just running around on the table going, whee! They're the perfect unit. Get them, use them, thank me with money. Next up are the Way Watchers. These guys are really cool too. They're no Wild Riders, but that's just because they don't have mounts. Their special rules are always strikes first, forest stalkers, scouts, and skirmishers, and of course the hawk-eyed archer. Before this unit shoots, they must decide between a fast shot or an aim shot. Remember, it's before they shoot. If your opponent goes, oh look, I rolled all these hits, now I'm going to do aim shot. No, punch your opponent in the face, have him re-roll it because he's cheating. Or she. You know, girls cheat too. But fast shot is multiple shots too, and aim shot is no armor saves allowed. Remember, multiple shots too. They're at a further -1 to shoot. That's important. I've seen some Wood Elf players accidentally. I'm not anybody. I haven't actually personally played anybody who's done this, but I've watched other games and had to correct a person or two. They were like, "Oh no, it's fast shot. It's multiple shots. They don't have to take -1. It's multiple shots. The BRB says they do, and nothing in the Wood Elf book says they don't take a negative for multiple shots. So they take that negative, guys. Sorry." And then aim shot is no armor saves allowed. I usually see that one a lot. All my experience against Wood Elves is with Chaos, though, so why wouldn't they use the aim shot? It's no armor saves allowed. Usually you have to pay extra for that. So Way Watchers, wow. Pros, these guys are amazing elite archers. They are great at taking out light armor and heavy armor targets. They are Demon Prince killers. You know how everybody's like, "Oh no, with the new undead rule, there's gonna be, or lore of or end times rules, there's gonna be double demon princes because they can take 50% lore choices now." Wood elves are probably laughing at this. Oh really? There's gonna be 2 demon princes on the table? They're gonna use 50% of their army for demon princes? Cool. I'm gonna take 3 units of Way Watchers, or 2 units of Way Watchers. I believe they're a rare choice. And I'm going to just do aim shot at your demon princes all day. Oh, and that cute little charm shield that you have on your demon prince? Yeah, my general took care of that after deployment before the game started with his shot of Kurnos or whatever. So yeah, they're ballistic skill 5, 6 on the unit champion, so they don't miss. Movement, long range, need 3s. Whee! No armors. You're dead. It's been real. Yeah, these guys are the perfect assassination unit because they don't have to get close. 30-inch range, they take their time. Aim shot, fast shot, doesn't matter. These guys don't miss. And if they do miss, it's because they just ran out of targets. The cons are, they are only strength 3, which can make wounding toughness 5 and higher a little difficult. But I've seen Wood Elf players just basically compensate for this by putting more Way Watchers into their units. And, if you're throwing a bucket full of dice, you're going to hit a bucket full of times. And then you're going to wound maybe a quarter of a bucket, but that's still a lot of wounds with no armor saves. And, most things, 5-up armor, or 5-up ward, 5-up regen is kind of the best they're going to get. And even with a 4-up ward, it's still 50-50. And as I've said multiple times, dice have never taken a math class, so these guys are incredibly dangerous. The only other con I can see is you can only take 2 units in a non-grand army, because if I guess that's kind of a good thing for everyone else, though, because if you could take 3 units of Way Watchers, the games wouldn't even be worth playing, because it'd just be like, hey, cool, you've got 3 units of Way Watchers, shake my hand. Next up is the Way Watchers hero choice, the Way Stalker. They have Always Strikes First, Forest Stalker, Hawk-Eyed Archer, Scout, and Sniper. The pros of this guy is, or gal, depending, is it's an amazing assassin hero. Ballistic skill 7, so this chick doesn't miss, ever, for any reason. 0. Hardcover, don't care, need 2s. Hardcover move long range, don't care, need 3s. Yeah, you're dead. And the sniper rule means that no character is safe. Oh, is your character sitting in there all by his lonesome? I'm going to go ahead and do aim shot at your level 4 wizard, and you better hope that you put a ward save on him. Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, by turn 3, he's dead then. Bye, thanks. I hope you had fun with him, because I'm taking all the points. A character that can scout all by his lonesome. There's no reason to even put him in a unit of Way Watchers, unless you just want to. But they're dirt cheap as well. You literally don't have to put any gear on this guy. You just put him in a unit, you take a couple of them, put him in a unit of Way Watchers, and snipe characters. That's all you do. You don't want to go too magic heavy, or you want to devote your magic to other things. I got 2 Way Stalkers, 3 Way Stalkers. They're dirt cheap. I put them in a unit of Way Watchers. They can all see the enemy mages, and pop, 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 pop. Oh, and at the spell scroll? That's cute. Top of 1. Your Dispel Scroll caddy is dead. It's been real. Oh, your BSB? Oh, he's got 2-up armor save? Yeah, pop, pop, pop. He's dead. It's been real. Thanks. Thanks for wasting my time. Anything else you got? Oh, no? Okay, well, then they're just going to hang out in the Way Watchers and decimate the rest of your army because we're awesome like that. The cons are, once again, these hero choices are butt naked. So you got to be careful with the placement, or you got to be, real good with what kind of gear you give them, because you only get 25 points of magic gear for these people. They're a little pricey considering, but I mean, I'm used to paying Warriors of Chaos prices, and for Wood Elves, you don't need to put any gear on these Way Stalkers. They could literally butt naked. Their danger Their real threat is already built in. I mean, they have sniper and they have aim shot. You don't need anything else than that. Only strength 3 shots, so you kind of got to be worried. But I mean, for the most part, you're gonna need 4s, maybe 5s to wound. But if you can, that wound's gonna stick. And most things can't heal their army, and if they can, yeah, just focus fire. I mean, these guys are really good at assassination. And if you take Wood Elves and you're gonna consider taking Way Watchers, throw in a Way Stalker. Just butt naked, throw it in the unit and see how it does for you. I think you'll be pleased. Next up are your Dryads, or as I like to call it, the bastard children of the Wood Elves. Special rules are Fear, Forest Spirit, and Hatred. I gotta be honest with you, the pros for the Dryads are very weak. Hatred is nice, but in an army that everything else has always strikes first, Hatred is cute, I guess. They have a 6-up ward save, which is good, I guess, because they're naked otherwise, and their toughness 4 elf choice. So I don't know. I mean, I guess the toughness 4 is nice, but there's just better options. I mean, unless you're just a real fan of Dryads, I don't see the purpose. They got their strength hit. I think they're strength 4 in the last version. They're strength 3 now. They're kind of expensive considering what they do, and there's so many better choices in every different. I mean, core, special, rare. Dryads, unless you just want a forest spirit army, I don't see the purpose in bringing them. I just don't. Everything else in the army is better than these things. They all fill the role better than these guys. I mean, if you want an anvil unit, you take the Eternal Guard. If you want a combat unit, you take the Rangers. If you want, well, anything else, you take anything else. I don't understand why you would take Dryads. They're too expensive. They don't really have anything that's useful. I understand why they're angry. They suck. I'm sorry. Next up is the useless hero choice of a Branch Wraith. Special rule, it's a level 1 wizard that only uses the Lore of Life. It's got the Blessing of the Ancients, Fear, Forest Spirit, and Hatred. The pros are they're a dirt cheap Lore of Life wizard, and the Dryads now have a character to rally around and be angry about because they suck now. The cons are they have no upgrades whatsoever. I mean, you take a Branch Wraith, and what you see is what you get. You don't get to add anything to them. You don't get to give them any gear. They get nothing. They can't even so much as take, like, armor piercing. There's no upgrades to these things whatsoever. It's only a level 1 wizard. I mean, yeah, it's Lore of Life, that's great and all, but okay, great, I got Throne of Vines and he's useless. Or I got any of the other Lore of Life spells without Throne of Vines and I'm only semi-effective. What the hell is this character in the book for? I mean, really? I don't understand what this guy is for at all. I If you can explain this one to me, please do. I guess if you wanted a really themed, really fluffy, all Forest Spirit list, you could do it. But other than for pure fluff reasons, or maybe you just like to waste points, I don't know why you would put this guy into your army. He's a channel dice, I guess, but okay, take the points and put them towards Sisters of the Thorn or something. Or maybe even like a Shadow Dancer or something would be better. At least the Shadow Dancer has some effect in combat. This guy sucks. A Branch Wraith is just crap. If you take it, more power to you. Next up are the Treekin. Special rules are Fear, Flammable, Forest Spirit, and Scaly Skin 4-up. The pros of these guys are Toughness 5. That's really useful in an elf army. You basically they're your mini monsters. But Toughness 5 is very useful. Flammable is a little rough, because if it does burn them, it burns them twice. But Toughness 5 makes it so that it's less likely to happen. 4-up armor save is nice in an elf list as well, and the 6-up ward that they come built-in standard is kind of nice as well. It's a good backbone unit. If you want another anvil unit that's not, Eternal Guard or whatever, and, with Toughness 5, yeah, they don't have Always Strike First. Yeah, their initiative sucks, but, these guys are still pretty tough. They could really fill an anchor role in your army and stuff like that, so I like them. Plus, the models are really cool. The cons are they're flammable, and let's face it, with all the flaming attacks out there that they have, from breath weapons to, Sisters of Avalorn to, just the Banner of Eternal Flame, the 10-point, hey, everything that I shoot is, blah, blah, blah. I mean, hell, I've got it on my Tomb Kings and my Chariots. What do you think I'm shooting at if I'm going to have flaming arrows going across the table? The flammable unit. So you really need to be careful where you place these guys and how you use them, because they burn real nice. But for the most part, if you're looking for that solid, anchor unit, that unit that's not going to go anywhere and can put out a little bit of damage, I would definitely consider investing in a unit of 3 to 6 Treekin. Probably 6. 3 is a little weak. But yeah, they're nice. I'm really happy that these guys are still in the book. Next up is the Treekin's older brother, the Treemen. Special rules are Flammable, Forest Spirit, Large Target, Scaly Skin, 3-up, Stubborn, and Terror. And they also have this cool rule called Tree Whack. A model with this special rule can choose to make a single Tree Whack instead of normal attacks. This has to be declared, obviously, before rolling to hit. You don't get to roll all your attacks, find out that you missed, and go, okay, you know what, I'm going to use my Tree Whack. Slap your opponent in the face, dude's cheating. The model targeted must make an initiative test or suffer D6 wounds with no armor saves allowed. Can be done in a challenge. I like this rule because it's really good at taking out monsters. It's really good at taking out anything with initiative 3 or less. And even if you're desperate, it's like, oh, damn it, I've got to attack, this dark elf, psychopath with a 1-up rerollable armor save. Well, I have a better chance of actually slipping one through if they roll a 6, so have them roll it. You got a 1 in 6 chance to do D6 no armor save wounds to this sucker. I like that. I like the idea. And it's also very cool in the challenge. That tooled up, kitted out guy or whatever. Well, okay, great. Your 1-up rerollable armor save is negated. Now you just took 5 wounds with only your ward save to protect you. And scene. So, yeah, in my opinion, Tree Whack is very, very viable. Although I gotta be honest, every time I've ever seen a Treeman, I've never seen him use the attack. Maybe because I was playing Warriors of Chaos and I had decent initiative, but it was just one of those things. It's like, I think Tree Whack is underrated and underused. And you can buy an upgrade for him, Strangle Roots. Basically, it's 12-inch range, strength 5, multiple shots, D6 plus 1. As far as I know, you still have to roll to hit with them and everything like that. And it's like a 20-point upgrade, so it's a little pricey. But 12-inch range, strength 5, D6 plus 1 hits. Well, D6 plus 1 shots anyway. If you got the points. The pros here is, holy crap, you can take a talking tree. I mean, who doesn't like taking an ent, right? Strength 5, toughness 6. You could probably find a reason to put one in your army somewhere. It's a really good, shock troop type of deal. It's a really nice centerpiece for your army. I mean, the new models that they have for the Treemen are amazing. Anybody who says otherwise is blind or yuck. But yeah, the models are very, very cool. And with a 3-up armor, 6-up ward, that's a baby Demon Prince save right there. I mean, it's pretty friggin' good. Weapon skill 6, he's not a slouch in close combat, and Tree Whack is great against monsters, low initiative monsters, models, characters. Lizardmen would be afraid of it, very much so. Just really anything with low initiative or high armor saves and stuff like that, if you want to get through them, this would be the way to go. And he's stubborn. He also fills that role of anchor. You throw him out there, he slams into something, and he's not going anywhere until he's dead. The cons is he competes for points with Way Watchers, and of course, flammable. You really got to find out where those flaming attacks are and keep him away from those. Because if they get through, he's going to fall apart in a hurry. And last but not least is the Treeman Ancient. His special rules is he's a level 2 wizard that uses the Lore of Life. His Blessing of the Ancients, he's flammable, Forest Spirit, large target, Scaly Skin, 3-up, Stubborn, Terror, and Tree Whack. The pros for this guy is, in my opinion, and keep in mind, I'm a Warriors of Chaos General at heart. I've got a little bit of Tomb King in me now, but not nearly as much as I have Warriors, and this guy is the perfect general. He comes with a 3-up armor save standard. He comes with a 6-up ward. Can be a level 4 wizard. Great in close combat. Lore of Life is a great lore. If you're going to take a level 4 wizard, why not make this guy, you know, a level 4 Lore of Life? It's perfect lore for the Wood Elves. You know, it gives you +1. It gives you better toughness. It gives you regen. You can bring models back. You can heal wounds. Perfect for a points denial army. Perfect for an avoidance army. And every avoidance army needs that guy needs the bruiser, right? You know, just in case things start going left field, you throw something in there to just keep it away from the rest of your army until the game is over. This guy fits that role flawlessly. Leadership 10, stubborn, he ain't going anywhere. Strangle Roots is a pretty strong shooting attack. 18-inch range inspiring presence with this guy. So basically your army is leadership 10. If you throw a BSB in there somewhere with a reroll, you're not breaking. You don't have to worry so much. And if you do have to break and flee from a charge or something, you're going to rally. You could take 2 of these guys in a 2,500 point list pretty easily. One wouldn't have any upgrades, or they would both have, you know, mediocre upgrades, but you don't really need too much if you've got 2 of these guys in there. 2 Tree-Man Ancients. Could you imagine running around? I mean, even if they're both only level 2 wizards, Lore of Life is still in effect. Or one's a level 3 or level 4, the other one's a level 2. 6 spells from the Lore, all 6 spells from the Lore of Life handled. And you've got 2 Tree-Man Ancients just running around begging somebody to do something. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't take one of these guys, unless you want a pure elf list, or hey, maybe it's just not your cup of tea. But again, the army, the models that they put out for these guys are amazing, and just, I don't know. The only cons are, yeah, they are still flammable, which is dangerous, but with a 3-up armor save and a 4 or a 6-up ward, you have a real good chance of saving those wounds. And then it's hard to take 3, you know? I mean, really, this isn't a bad choice in any way, shape, or form. If you don't want to take one, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like you're denying Wild Riders. If you don't want to take Wild Riders, then you're a fool. But yeah, the Tree-Man Ancient is a solid choice, and it's a real boon to the Wood Elves to have this available to them. But there it is, guys. There's my Wood Elf book review. All in all, though, here's my final thoughts about it. The Wood Elves have gotten much better with this release. Much better. They can still be an avoidance army and a point denial army. However, they can now be taken as a straight-up close combat army or combined tactics, a little bit of everything, you know? If you wanted to make them even a gun line, you could actually do that rather effectively with with Waywatchers and the Stalkers and the Glade Guard with all those enchanted arrows and stuff. You could really make a solid, fluid gun line that would actually be more devastating than even a dwarf gun line, in my opinion. If you took the right enchanted arrows and with your movement phase, you could probably. You would do better now that I think about it. I mean, your ballistic skill is really high. Yeah, there's no reason that you couldn't take a gun line with these guys and be super effective. Treemen are amazing, and their little brothers, the Treekin, aren't terrible either. They both fit their roles beautifully. They're great-looking models. Yeah, I would definitely suggest trying them out if you haven't already, because these guys are amazing at what they do. Dryads suck. Plain, simple, and to the point. They used to be something to fear in the last edition, and they made them suck now. And while I don't fully understand why, it's not a huge loss unless you're like a huge Dryad fan, because for the most part, the Dryads don't need to be good in this version of the book. All your elves are amazing, and everything does better than the Dryads. So if you're an old Wood Elf player and you've got a bunch, I would get ready to keep them as dust collectors on your shelf, because you're going to be buying the other models and using them, because there's just everything's so much better than Dryads now. No wonder in the fluff they're so cranky. The new enchanted arrows, while expensive, are game changing. I mean, you're looking at a unit of wild or Glade Riders, or you know, Waywatchers or something like that, or I'm sorry, not Waywatchers, but you know what I mean. The other units that can shoot and can take these things. And yeah, they're like, oh, okay, it's only strength 3. Oh, what? It's -3 to my armor save. What? You have +1 to wound. What? They're flaming. Ah! Yeah, it's just everything about these new enchanted arrows are game changing, and every list that you see will be different because you never know. Oh God, what do these guys? What kind of arrows do these guys have? What do I have to worry about? Are my knights safe? Are my demigryphs safe? Is my steam tank safe? Is anything safe? Ah, what elves? I know you guys think that I have no respect for these guys, but Wild Riders scare me to death. I know I've already talked about these guys for like 20 minutes, but seriously, if you're playing Wood Elves and you don't have a unit of at least one uh, five-man brick of Wild Riders, you are doing it wrong and you are shortchanging yourself. You don't come to a gunfight without your guns, and these guys are your howitzers. Seriously, if you don't take Wild Riders, you're shortchanging yourself. You're hurting yourself badly. You might as well stab yourself in the leg and try to finish the game before you bleed out, because that's what you're doing without taking Wild Riders. These guys are the most amazing unit in Warhammer. Take them, use them, thank me with money. This army is not an army for a beginner. Not something that somebody's going to go, oh wow, I like this. I'm going to play this army and be good with it. No, no. This army has a steep learning curve that many will fail to ascend. Those that do, however, will be a force to be reckoned with. If you get the Wood Elf army dialed into your playing style and you get all your units set up the way it works for you, there's nothing that these guys can't face and just take them out. They've got all the tools at their disposal. They've got all the ability. The thing is, it's a movement phase army. Even if you're doing a straight up close combat type of army with all your fighty choices and stuff, big bricks of Wild Riders, the Rangers, the Eternal Guard, the Sisters, Treeman Agents, Treeman and stuff like that, you still really need to know what you're doing, and you got to think ahead a couple of turns, because this army is not going to be as big as its cousin armies like the Dark Elves or the High Elves, and still be good at close combat, just simply because they're going to be more expensive. But they have the support, they have the magic, they have the combat ability. Always strikes first. This is an army to be reckoned with, and I think the handful of people that are going to figure them out are going to be top contenders, really dangerous opponents. So you could be that guy. This is another elf book, though, that makes killing elves a worthy venture. There is no shame in going full throttle against wood elves and wiping them off the table. In fact, that's very impressive. And there's no shame to being wiped off the table by a wood elf army. It's not like you lost to Beastmen. Sorry, guys, it's true. But, yeah, these guys are very viable. It's a very strong army book, and the new models are amazing. They're beautiful. They exude wild elves. This is perfect. GW hit it right on the head with this army. The Wood Elves are, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, out of the three flavors of elves, the Wood Elves are probably the best. I said it. I don't care. Death Holy Death is going to disown me as a friend, but it's true. Wood Elves are amazing. I got to be honest with you. I'm surprised that we aren't seeing more Wood Elf armies. However, the ones that we are seeing are devastating to play against. There's a guy whose name I'm not going to use because I don't have permission to, because he has no idea I'm about to say this, but he played one of my buddies in the Rock Wars tournament, and he had an amazing Wood Elf army. And it was an avoidance army, and it went up against Warriors of Chaos army, and he literally just avoided him the whole time and shot him off the table, and he did it devastating. I'm glad I didn't have to face him, because I would have been terrified to see these wood elves across the table from me. I wouldn't have known what to do. And yeah, if you're like, well, the wood elves suck because this, that, or the other thing, it's not the elves, man. It's you. It's not your play style or whatever. That's fair. And granted, there's two other elf armies out there that are easier to get into, I'll say. But the wood elves, if you're looking for a rewarding army that once you figure it out is going to be just devastating on the table, check these guys out. Give them some shot, because, oh man, if you can get them dialed in, you can't be beat. But I really do look forward to seeing how this army progresses as time goes on. I'm curious how the end times is going to affect the book and how they play. There's rumors, of course, that the High Elves, Dark Elves, and Wood Elves are all going to combine in the end times and stuff like that, so I'm curious to see how that all works out. But I really like the new book. I love the models. I loved all the special rules, the enchanted arrows. Oh, Wild Riders. Oh, they haunt my nightmares. And when I see them across the table, I get excited because I know it's going to be a solid game, because it's going to be a tactical game. It's not going to just be a slugfest or anything like that. I have to outthink my opponent or they're going to run over me. And I like that. I like the challenge. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for this Army book review of the Wood Elves. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Once again, thank you very much, Wade, for Hate Monger. This one's for you, buddy. Really appreciate it. Wouldn't have been done with this speed if it hadn't been for you motivating me. But yeah, guys, as always, I want you to put questions, comments, concerns, and complaints, disagreements, arguments, opinions, everything that you can about the Wood Elves in the comment section. I want it to be an open forum. Try to keep it respectful. I mean, don't let the internet tough guy thing take you over, because I will find you and I will noogie you. I swear it. But you know, keep the debate civil, but at the same time, debate, argue, disagree, rule change, you know, argue it. Do it in the comment section. I want that, because it's going to make the Wood Elf players better Wood Elf players, and it's going to make people that have to face the Wood Elves better Wood Elf opponents. So really, that's what this whole review is for, making us better against the Wood Elves and better with the Wood Elves. Or at least that's the hope. I don't know, maybe that's cocky as hell. But that's the hope anyway. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for me, so thanks.